In just the past 24 hours, American pilots have been in action in the skies over Syria. An air campaign launched, we were told, to hit ISIS militants in their command centers. But we then learned today some of the first shots fired last night were aimed at a new terrorist group, one that few Americans had ever heard of, called Khorasan. But U.S. officials were worried enough about it, apparently, that what they were planning to strike them as part of the first salvo. Either way, this escalation makes it a more complex world tonight. We have it all covered, beginning at the Pentagon with this military action. Jim Miklaszewski on duty there for us tonight. Jim, good evening.
8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, the opening salvo was an all-American assault. 47 Tomahawk cruise missiles launched from 2 U.S. Navy ships, one in the Red Sea, the other in the Persian Gulf. The strikes were aimed at Aleppo in northwest Syria, site of a major ISIS training camp. But the primary target here was the Khorasan, a terrorist group with strong ties to Al-Qaeda and a potential threat to the U.S.
The intelligence reports indicated that the Khorasan group was in the final stages of plans to execute major attacks against Western targets and potentially the U.S. homeland.
9 p.m., U.S. airstrikes light up the night sky over Raqqa, the de facto capital for ISIS in Syria, where for the first time, Air Force F-22 stealth fighters were used in combat. Along with F-15s, 16s, and B-1 bombers, the strike force took out critical ISIS targets, command and control headquarters, communications centers, and barracks.
Last night's strikes are the beginning of a credible and sustainable, persistent campaign to degrade and ultimately destroy ISIL.
By then, the Americans were no longer alone. In a hastily built coalition, 5 Arab allies, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Bahrain, Jordan, and the UAE, had joined the U.S. in the airstrikes. Midnight, FA-18s launched from the aircraft carrier George H.W. Bush in the largest airstrike package of the night. 37 aircraft, nearly half of them Arab allies, in strikes against ISIS targets near the border with Iraq. By daybreak, many Syrians were digging out from beneath the rubble, some apparently innocent victims of the overnight airstrikes.
Officials here point out that ISIS is remarkably resilient, able to withstand and adapt to just about anything the U.S. military throws at it. And they warned today that the U.S. campaign to degrade and destroy ISIS will take years.